All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. Today we'll be talking about the youth crime here in downtown Albuquerque. Today we will be hearing from Mayor Keller, Bernalillo County Sheriff John Ellen, Albuquerque Police Chief Harold Medina, Bernalillo County District Attorney Sam Bregman, FBI Special Agent in Charge Raul Bujanda. With that, I will turn it over to Mayor Keller.
Thanks so much. All right, well, good morning, folks downtown and in Albuquerque. We have, I think, a very important item to discuss, but I also just want to appreciate first and foremost all our law enforcement partners. That's really what this is about. This is about a one Albuquerque effort from BCSO to the state police to also the FBI on trying to do what we can downtown. And we're going to highlight some specific new challenges that we're seeing here. And we're here at this location for a couple of reasons. Number one is, obviously, we're downtown, but we're at this intersection between Alvarado, which is, of course, our bus and train transportation hub, something that we all use, even I use. I know we're joined with our city councilor here as well, Joaquin Baca, who lives right here. And we also have a parking garage in the background, which we're going to talk about significant issues we're facing actually in our parking garages. So I think let me begin by we all, and I want to emphasize we all believe in downtown. We are never going to give up on downtown, and we are going to invest resources, and we're going to collaborate together to continue to make downtown safe. Now, overall, in the last 3 years, crime has actually been down downtown. That is a good thing. But some categories continue to spike, especially challenges we're having around our parking garages. And so we're going to talk about that specifically today, and it's related to a challenge all across New Mexico that we've talked about in our special session yesterday, and also they're talking about hopefully today. They should be talking about every day, and I know our DA has made it clear that this is number one priority for him, and that is the juvenile justice challenges that we're having. The combination of teens and guns is right now the biggest problem in the city of Albuquerque. And it is deadly, it is costing lives, and it is also tremendously scary for parents of those teens, for friends of those teens, and for anyone who is engaged in that kind of activity around them, especially downtown. So we want to share a couple of things with you today. First, built environment. I want to mention we have added dozens of cameras downtown, but there are still dead spots, so we are going to add more cameras. We have added dozens of lights downtown. We still need more lights. We are rewiring all of downtown so that we have unlimited capacity for future lighting and for future cameras. That is also wonderfully funded by the governor and by the state. And so that process is in place, but it is not finished. So what we're seeing here is all too often a terrible trend in the metro, which is underage youth hanging out in parking lots, right? They're not actually there because they're parking and going to businesses late night, especially on the weekends, and they are engaging in a full range of sort of gunplay, whether it's actually getting in fights and firing those firearms, whether it's taking pictures, TikTok with those firearms, and it's essentially that social media peer pressure that tries to connect what is never true, which is that it is somehow cool to pose and engage in alcohol and drugs and firearms and do it on social media. So one thing is we are watching. That is an important message for everyone to hear because we are watching on social media and we are going to crack down on this with the help of all the partners behind us. Now, just about a week ago, our officers broke up a gathering at the garage in First and Central, and a suspect had a concealed rifle during the confrontation. Teens fled, one was arrested, a rifle and a handgun were found in the vehicle. Social media was at play in this situation. And we know that even though we have overtime downtown, we have the first dedicated unit downtown in our city's history that we started about 3 years ago, it still takes more coverage because now folks are spreading out off Central. And that is where BCSO, that is where the DA's office, the FBI, and actually even a range of other agencies are engaging to help us. So we have a united message that is simple. We will not tolerate this type of crime, and we're going to start by getting rid of it downtown. So I want to thank our partners. I'm going to bring them up and MC a little bit here with each of them. But I also want to let folks know downtown is re-energized. We've doubled the number of people who live downtown. So don't forget that. Anyone who thinks somehow no one is downtown, they are absolutely wrong. We have doubled the number of residents downtown in the last decade. And we also know that there are new businesses opening downtown, whether it's the Ex Novo Brewing or an awesome new hotel that is going to open this fall at the Old Blue Hotel. So let's do this. I'm going to bring up Sheriff Allen. He's been, I asked the last sheriff a gazillion times to help us downtown. This sheriff says yes. This sheriff has created a unit to help all over the city. This sheriff is a partner for Albuquerque. Let's bring up Sheriff Allen.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out. As you can see behind us, I want to make one thing clear. I want to make sure that everybody understands. As you can see me standing by Chief Harold Medina, the City Councilor Joaquin Baca, FBI, the Mayor. There is no rift between Albuquerque Police Department and Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. As the Sheriff's Office, we make sure that it is a collaborative effort, and that also goes along with the New Mexico State Police. Downtown is a central part of where people want to have entertainment, want to see businesses and neighbors thrive, and we are here to help. The mayor mentioned that youth crime, as myself and everybody, including the DA, have spoke about, that juvenile and youth crime is an issue in the city of Albuquerque and Bernalillo County. We have an issue of them coming down here and causing havoc and problems for businesses that are trying to entertain folks during the nightlife. We're going to make sure they're held accountable. And that starts by patrol and having viewable law enforcement. And it's very important that the city of Albuquerque and citizens of all Bernalillo County see that it's a collaborative effort. Albuquerque Police Department needs help, Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office needs help, and we can only do that by spreading and making sure that our resources are combined, because I don't believe anybody in Bernalillo County wants to see that people are working their own things all the time. Yes, we will have our own missions, we will have our own ideals, but the main ideal and collaborative effort is the bottom line of making sure that people in the downtown area and all over the city of Albuquerque and Bernalillo County feel safe. And one of the ways to do that is not just by perception through words, but by perception through viewing that, as you see behind us, we're here, we are speaking, we are sharing information, and we are making sure that we get the job done. So please be very clear about that, and we are here to help all over the city. Look, I'm in charge of all of Bernalillo County, including the city of Albuquerque, and I talk to Chief Harold Medina at least 2 to 3 times a week. And we will make sure and ensure that we are doing things together, and they're going to do their own thing, we're going to do our own thing, and we will also see missions that are together. That's going to happen in law enforcement. We just want to make sure that we're addressing the crime and also making sure that people feel safe and making sure that we're down here as an action to get things done. We know the summer months, when it gets warmer, it becomes more active, but we're starting to see a lot of nefarious activity in the downtown area and our parking garages, and we are here to send a message that it's not acceptable, we're looking for you, and we're coming for you. And by then, we can have neighbors and businesses thrive. Thank you all for coming, and I'll let the next speaker speak.
Thank you so much, Sheriff. Now, we've also on and off been working, of course, as we always do, all together with the entities that are involved in law enforcement, criminal justice in the Metro. But I do want to acknowledge that Sam Bregman, especially since he's taken office, has answered the phone and said yes. And he is also putting a lot of resources from his office into this effort, especially downtown. And I know he's doing all sorts of things, even fighting for all we can do with respect to the broken criminal justice and juvenile justice system that we have here. So let's bring up our District Attorney, Sam Bregman.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. And I want to make sure I thank each and every one of the law enforcement officers and agencies that are represented here today. I will tell you, as I told the legislature yesterday, we have a real problem when it comes to juvenile crime in this community, and we're going to attack it head on, and we're going to continue to attack it head on. I can tell you our special agents within our office, our law enforcement part of our office, is assisting these fine agencies in this operation downtown to make sure that we put a stop to juveniles committing crimes of all types, including violent crime. I want to make a very clear message to young people, whether or not they be juveniles or 18 years old. If you commit adult crimes, we will charge you as adults. We will prosecute you to the full extent of the law. And it is a sad statement that already we have indicted, since I've been district attorney 18 months, we have indicted 19 children for first-degree murder. It is unacceptable. People that live downtown, for example, have a right not only to be safe, but to feel safe. And I know law enforcement here behind me and across this community is dedicated to making sure this community is as safe as it possibly can be. But I want young people to understand that you do serious crime, there will be serious consequences. And our office is committed to it. I can tell you, not only are we continuing to build on our juvenile division and give more resources, we have a gun team now in the DA's office that is focusing on gun crimes between 18 and 25-year-olds committing gun crimes. And in just 4 months, we now have 88 cases involving 18 to 25-year-olds using guns. We will not hesitate. We will be relentless on this issue. Juveniles, young people need to understand this community, law enforcement, my office, we're not tolerating it. We never have, but I can promise you, we are laser focused. Thank you.
Thank you, District Attorney. I too want to echo, I think he said it was 1973 since we updated.
78.
We have not updated our juvenile code since 1978. That in and of itself speaks to the broadness of the challenges that he's trying to address, but we are with him on that effort. Now, we're fortunate to also have our FBI Special Agent in charge here with us today. And I want to introduce him, but also emphasize, we know that in some ways these juvenile groups are being preyed upon by larger, we don't typically use the term gang anymore, but we all kind of know what that means, lowercase. Sometimes it's just groups of kids, there's different versions. But the point is, often teens are preyed upon because of the weakness in our juvenile justice system. And so looking at that big picture and helping us connect the dots is our FBI Special Agent in charge, Raul Brujada. Brujada, come on up.
Good morning, everyone. Just like our partners have said, this is a very disturbing trend that we've seen. It's not singular to New Mexico. It's something we've seen across the country. We've seen juveniles being involved in carjackings, homicides, assaults, and also the radicalization of beliefs that are contrary to what we see as our American fiber. So historically, you all know that the FBI and other federal agencies have not or have shied away from juvenile investigations. Well, that ended a long time ago, because if you commit a serious crime, then you deserve to pay for that crime regardless of what your age is. I would hope that working, and we work every single day with our partners in mental health, whether it be with the schools, whether it be with all our law enforcement partners that you see standing here, to try to get to these juveniles, to these children, before they commit these crimes. But we see every single day that that's not something that's happening. And let me be specific on this, that I'm a parent just like many of you are, and that is still the best course of action. If you talk to your children, they will listen. Even though it seems like they're not listening, or they don't care, or they want to rather listen to the groups that they're running with, they are paying attention. So let's make sure that we start where it needs to start, which is in the home. We're going to continue to support our state, local, federal, and tribal partners on all of these types of investigations, whether they're juvenile or now. And that's regardless of whether we take the lead or not. That doesn't really matter. What matters is that justice is served, that our communities are safe, whether we're talking about downtown or any other part in the state of New Mexico, that everyone feels safe. And I think you've seen the work over law enforcement. I know I've seen it in the last 3 years, a trend that is going in the positive direction, where we are becoming a safer state, where we are becoming a safer city in Albuquerque. It's the great work of all these fine men and women that are standing behind me that's the reason why this is happening. And the FBI will continue to do our part to make sure that we're supporting. To include, if we need to bring federal prosecution for these crimes. Regardless, we're going to be there to support, whether it's with technical assistance or whatever the need that might come up And whatever it is that they might need, we're going to be there standing shoulder to shoulder. Again, the plea goes back to myself and to other parents out there. Let's do our part. Let's make sure that our kids are listening. Let's make sure we're telling and having those conversations, because that will make the difference. That is where we want. We want our children to stay children. We want these crimes to stop. We want these crimes to stop at all levels, and we definitely don't want to have our children going down those paths that none of us ever wanted for our kids. Thank you.
Okay, I also want to acknowledge that the state police has been a key part of this too. We have some representatives here from that department, and they also recognize that in many ways what happens downtown ripples out to the rest of New Mexico, especially when it comes to a signal that we're not giving up and we're all in this together. So I very much appreciate state police being here as well and being part of these operations, both in the past and going forward. Now, we also are joined by our city councilor who actually lives right here at this intersection. So I want to create a little space for City Councilor Baca to share a few words. Councilor.
Thank you, everybody. I just want to start by saying thank you. I've raised my boys down here downtown. So the idea of juvenile gun crime, it's important. It's near and dear, aside from just being an important part of what we need to do. And you know, the idea that we're now all coming together and we're all going to be on the same page, working as a team, that leaves me hopeful. That means, hey, things are going to happen now. We can hopefully get this under wraps. And so I appreciate everybody out here. I appreciate the mayor, the chief, Sheriff Allen, and everybody else who's putting in the time and the effort to deal with this. So thank you.
Now, we're going to bring up our final speaker, and then I think we are going to do some questions that Francesca is going to moderate. But of course, front and center, first on his mind, every day when he wakes up and every day when he goes to bed, is our city and our downtown and our public safety. Let's bring up our Chief of Police, Harold Medina.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to start first by thanking the new Metro team from the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department and our downtown units who are out here downtown every day making things safe and changing the environment. They're the ones that are on the front line. They're the ones that see the scrutiny day in and day out. I've always said it, the Albuquerque Police Department, our officers are scrutinized harder than any other officers in the state of New Mexico, but every day they show up to work and they show up to make a difference. In 1995, November, young Harold Medina left the Albuquerque Police Academy, and his first day of OJT was swing shift downtown on a weekend night. And my first major call was a shots fired felony stop on Broadway after shots had been fired downtown, and officers found the vehicle, and we pursued it north on Broadway and got the vehicle stopped. What is the difference between 1995 and 2024? In 1995, Central was patrolled by nothing but APD officers. And the difference now is we've learned to use partnerships and work with one another. A couple weeks ago, when we knew that we had at one point 29 officers here and we still were having troubles with crowds and we were still encountering individuals with guns and not getting everywhere we needed to be, we knew we needed more resources. And with one phone call to the DA's office, the DA devoted his 6 investigators immediately to start helping us. I was on the road back home to Taos to spend the day with family, and I made a phone call to State Police Chief Troy Weisler, and by the end of the day, he had resources that what they could spare at the last minute here the next night. And the same thing with Sheriff John Allen. As soon as we spoke, they devoted 4 more deputies. That gives us an additional 12, 13 people downtown with our people. That is what the difference is we're working together. Do you wonder why there's a reduction of 25% in homicides this year, 12% last year? It's because the DA's office is prosecuting cases faster than ever before. Why? Because we have a partnership. We have paralegals embedded at the DA's office assisting them with discovery. The only way we succeed as a community is working together. And I'm happy to say that, yes, we have our challenges downtown that we're going to address. But there still is no challenge that we haven't addressed when we work together and we work together to help make Albuquerque a better place. It is very simple for me. I just want to thank all the agencies that are down here today showing their support for the Albuquerque Police Department and the City of Albuquerque residents to ensure that there is safety downtown, to ensure that kids are held accountable. That's the big difference also from 1995. Our offenders have gotten younger and younger. And the DA, he's absolutely correct. There are some laws that need to be changed. Yesterday I sat in Santa Fe, and I hope today everybody does the right thing and they recognize tomorrow is too late. We need to make changes today that are going to help our people tomorrow. We can't wait any longer. We've waited long enough as citizens. So in closing, I hope that we could all work together. I hope that the rest of the state sees what's happening here in Albuquerque today and sees the teamwork, and they recognize their teamwork can help this team if we all work together to tackle some of the biggest issues that we're having. Thank you.
Alrighty, we'll go ahead and open it up for Q&A. If you can let me know your name, who you're with, and who your question is for. Go ahead, Sasha.
Sasha, tell us either Chief Medina or Mayor Keller, how is this going to work? Are we adding overtime for officers to patrol? I mean, it might be different from BCSO with state police. Are we adding chiefs overtime? Are we shifting schedules? How is this going to work with the influx of officers?
You know, thankfully to the governor and the public health order, we were able to obtain overtime funding in several areas. One of the overtime funding areas that we received overtime funding for was the Central Corridor. So we do have a bank of overtime that we're able to utilize for downtown, and that overtime will be used to pay the officers that are working there, along with the fact that we have a lot of different officers that are on duty that we're pulling into the downtown area.
With Telemundo for Mayor Keller. We see here that the main focus is at night downtown. Are there any plans to try and bring more people during the day though? Because we talk to a lot of people and they say it's really empty, it's really like a ghost town.
Thank you for that question. I was hoping someone would ask that. Listen, here's the thing about downtown. You know, when I first came into office, I said, hey, we should have a dedicated police team downtown. We did that. Then it was like, we should have a substation downtown. We did that. Then it was like, we need more lighting. We did that. We're still doing more. We have to make sure that, you know, the evening cruising whole situation continues to improve. We modify that every month, and we're continuing to modify that. But you have asked a much different question. And I will tell you, and I'll try and keep this brief because it's a little off public safety. But I proposed, and actually Councilor Baca has been working with our team on this, downtown has to take back control of its own destiny from a business standpoint. Here's what that means. We are going to be proposing a tax increment financing district in this area so that the tax revenues can be put back into this area. And so this is something we've been talking about for quite some time, past the legislature. We're doing in the fall. Also, I have asked the downtown business owners to form a BID, a business improvement district. We tried this about 20 years ago. It actually worked for a while and then sort of fell apart for infighting reasons. But the city will be a part of it this time. So we will act essentially like a business and a partner in that business improvement district. Those two things will transform downtown. And here's why. This place is empty during the day. There is a 17% vacancy rate downtown. But because of COVID, we all know we only work 2 or 3 days a week in the office. So there's like some math in there with fractions. Someone else did it for me. That means the effective vacancy rate downtown is 60%. No wonder why it feels empty. That's what the business community has to join us and help us fix. And so that's our goal this fall. If we can do that, it will lift up all of downtown and we won't need as many of these officers.
Next question. What? Right here.
What kind of security, added security will be made to the parking garages?
The main security is, first of all, visual presence. And two, being very proactive, that we're going to have zero tolerance. With all the firearms that we're seeing juveniles carry, not just on the streets downtown, but in the parking garages, they're trying to take over that area. Other people don't want to park there. They feel unsafe, so we'll be pretty much addressing that very aggressively. You know what, I won't answer for Chief Medina, but I will tell you, we always go off of data and what we're seeing and the trends that we're seeing. Anytime we can adjust. It's like everything that I say, even with contracts, it's a living document. So let's see what happens as we start moving forward. You always got to see what happens in a week to 2 to 3 weeks. Do we adjust? Do we adjust our times? Do we adjust our days? That'll happen as we start moving forward.
But what is it right now?
What is it right now is we'll be out there on Friday and Saturdays.
You know, one of the other things I think that needs to be added onto that is all the partners here are here to help us on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights. But during the week, there's a lot of residents who need an increased presence of officers. There is a lot of issues that they do report during the course of the week. And standing behind me is our downtown PRT team. And that's the team that is dedicated to downtown that works during the day. We've opened up overtime for them to work on Fridays also because they work a schedule where they don't work all 5 days. So we're encouraging them to bring in overtime on that last day. They're here Monday through Friday. We just transferred two additional members to that team a couple weeks ago. So we will continue our daytime presence with our officers. And of course, ACS has become a tremendous partner for our officers downtown. We know that we have challenges downtown with individuals who need resources and we need help. And in showing that compassion towards those individuals, ACS is a perfect fit for assisting us during the day downtown.
One right here.
Peter from Downtown Albuquerque News for the chief or the sheriff, I think. I mean, I get the new emphasis, and we've been talking about the details, but what's the kind of bottom line? How many extra FTEs do we have downtown after this is, implemented versus now? And how long does it last, or is this all TBD?
You know what? I know that state police last weekend, I believe, sent us 5 additional bodies. BCSO is sending us 4 additional bodies over the course of the weekend. We have our tactical section and our swing shift units out here. Generally, on a weekend, we could have anywhere from 15 to 30 people working downtown typically. So you add the 6 agents from the DA's office. Right there, you see that you have an additional almost 12 to 14 people that'll be working this area downtown from about 1st Street to about 7th Street. We're going to expand it to about Silver all the way to Copper.
So right now 15 to 30, and in the near future 12 to 14 extra bodies.
And that near future actually started last week because state police sent people in last week, as did the DA's office.
Let me get through the reporters first. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, well, you mentioned these teens. A lot of them are using cars. And, I was a teen at one time, and I don't think I could buy insurance. So with that being said, are you guys looking at charging parents that have the car insured, that are committing these racing acts, and also, they have guns in the car, as contributing to the violence?
You want to repeat your question? Go ahead again. Sorry, Nick. I'm going to get you afterwards, bro. Yeah, right after this. So give a second.
We're going to answer your question. We're going to answer
All
your
right.
question.
Go ahead, Nick.
So my question is a lot of these teens that are under 18 or under the age to buy insurance, are you guys looking at plans to look at the parents and charge them with contributing to the crimes? Because, you send little Johnny out to downtown and the car's insured to the guardian.
If there is a child driving a car without their parent buying insurance for the car, that's a tough one. That's something I've never enforced. I will run it by our people. If it's something we could feasibly do, we're always open to it. But we'd have to see what the legalities of it is.
Well, just the car's insured, but just go after the guardian is what I was getting at.
Oh, if they commit a crime?
Yeah.
Probably. I'm not focused on that. All of us have kids. I can't always account for everything that my kids do. We try to do our best. We're not going to punish parents because their kids went down the wrong path. There's a lot of parents who try well. If there's something blatant that the parents did to be held accountable, and there's something that's seen that they should be held accountable with, I think that the DA would be more than happy to take that into account. But just as a general rule, holding parents accountable for their kids, I don't think that's the right direction for us to go.
Chief, if any hardware law.
Yes. Yeah, if they have a gun, there's one way we could do that. If they gave them a gun and we could show that, we could charge them in that way. But otherwise, it could be very difficult. Yes, sir.
David Ellis for community. First off, thank you for your services and congratulations on passing the oversight thing and getting everything in order for that. Mayor doing everything that they could for the public as well. My question would be, I see the presence of disciplinary prepared. We're going to make sure that people are prevention. Can we go back into the older stats and find out what kept the city low on crime with the youth? Can we do more things like at the park, the movies, and maybe make more community-based things to prevent the children being down here or whatever? Because I'm a firm believer this should be a family-friendly community. We need to offer more than that. We have a full civic plaza with water parks we can do at nights because they got the lights. Is there other things we can also, instead of just, because these are our kids.
Mayor's gonna answer that for you. He got an answer for you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a good question, though.
That's a great question. Appreciate that because, we try and stay focused on what we're doing, but you're asking a really important one. So here's the interesting thing about this. Downtown is more active now than it has been in decades. However, where it's active is another issue. So I'll explain. Civic Plaza is now in full bloom. There is activities on Civic Plaza all the time. And there was one last night. I mean, literally, it's almost every weekend night. We got that fountain out there that families enjoy, including mine. We also have the Art Walk once a month on Fridays. People love the Art Walk. We've been able to keep it safe. And so these are areas that we're activating. However, we have had a challenge on this side, on the south side of downtown. And so we're trying to work with Barelas and also the rail yards so that we can sort of connect these two communities in a fun way for families more. So that's sort of next up. But the good news, at least on the weekends, downtown is actually busier sometimes than it is during the week because of that COVID working from home issue I told you about. So we're going to keep working on it. It's a great point, and we just got to get more activity on this side of Central.
What do you all do with all the unsheltered people that live here? We saw you escorting them away from this area this morning. Where are they? What do we do about all the unsheltered people that live here? You're not building that. What about all this shit all over the streets? What's going on with that? That's what I want to know. I live here. That's what I want to know.
So we have teams every morning that will clean up what you're talking about. They're there. Now, whether they're effective, we am happy to talk to you after about that, but I know I pay for them. Sure. So they're here. And that's right. Yeah. And so those teams, and if they're not getting to this corner, we can actually have Doug, who's with our office, check on that.
Live here that were escorted away. What did you do with those folks?
So I wasn't here for that.
Are they getting
I know this. There is transportation and a bed available for every single person who wants it. And
I'd love to see that plan.
well, we will. Hey.
Yeah, great. There's
Okay.
so many folks that live here that need help.
Yeah,
Actually,
they.
that gentleman this morning
Thank
was
you.
not being communicated with, but thank you.
All right. Well, ACS can take them, and we're happy to show you where those beds are. Okay. So you should take the questions.
Matt, you're next. Go ahead, Matt.
Is there any way to quantify this youth and guns problem downtown? Do we have like a number of incidents where, in a certain time span that we've seen?
Matt Gilbert could get you some information. We have several examples that we've used over the past few weeks. Our recent homicide just behind us did involve youth. The following weekend, we did have a short vehicle pursuit and an incident involving youth and firearms, and there's other examples. So Gilbert could get you some of that information a little bit later.
Will they also be, will you guys also be kind of addressing like the parking lots? 'Cause I know the parking lots in the past have been an issue. I'm assuming
We're still addressing the parking lots on Central, and the Sheriff's Department is going to be helping us with some of the high-rise parking lots, and we're working with the city on the city parking lots.
Okay, 2 more questions. Kind of hot out here. Sasha, go ahead.
DA Bregman, this is for you. I know you said that the last 18 months in office, you had about 19 kids who are being charged with first-degree murder.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the.
You spat out some numbers.
Yes.
Earlier about 18 months in office, 19 kids indicted for first-degree murder. Are any of those under Benny's Law? We've seen the only case under Benny's Law in Cuesta and have yet to see that here. Do you have any Benny's Law cases pending?
So 2 things. One is, no, none of those specific cases involve Benny's Law. No. We do determine the best we can where the guns are coming from. We do not have a case that we've charged at this point under Benny's Law in this county. In other places in the state, they have. Particularly in our county, we have not had, I don't know how to say this, the right case. In other words, the facts that support a prosecution for our burden going beyond a reasonable doubt. However, one of the sincere focuses of our juvenile division and our gun team with these young people is to try and find where these guns are coming from. And it's pretty clear to us, many of these young people are getting the guns off of Telegram, the dark web, the app. They go on Telegram, and an hour and a half or 2 hours later, they're buying a firearm from some stranger here in Albuquerque. But we are going to get to the root cause of some of these gun distributors, if you will, these illegal people, illegal distributors who are selling guns to young people. It's a real concern, it's a real problem, and we're focused on it.
Last question, Luis.
Going back to the situation of the parking lot days for APD, how exactly are you guys going to be enforcing it? Let's say if teens are in the parking garage but they're not doing anything, are you going to start giving citations or anything?
You know, if there is an enforceable activity, of course, we're going to take enforcement action. It's going to be zero tolerance. If individual needs to go to jail, I've long said it, you know, violent crime goes down when violent, bad people stay in jail. And if not, just the visible presence of officers in different areas will deter individuals from their criminal activity. One of the problems we have is these youth, underage kids come together and they start drinking. And if there's no officer there checking on them, they're freely going to consume alcohol all they want. When there's an officer there, 99.9% of the time, they're going to realize they can't sit there and consume their alcohol, which also compounds some of the problems. So a combination of the enforcement and a visible presence is what we're hoping to bring to downtown that will make it safer.
Alrighty, thank you everybody. That concludes the event.
I'll go do the bingo.